half an hour or more talking about this, but it's good to come and express your opinion. And you hear people saying, well, I pay taxes, and, I would like to speak on that resolution there, just like the resident that wanted to come. There was 2 residents that wanted to come and talk about the engineer and wanted to comment on the engineer. Somebody could have said something bad or whatever. I just really think that we should consider just taking our comments from the bottom, and bring them back up so that the public can make a comment and cut it to 5 minutes. Unfortunately, we can't be here all night long. Like I said, this gentleman here said something to me earlier that, he has to leave earlier due to a personal effect, a personal matter. And I've seen parents here counsel with their children, and kids have to go to school the next day. And that's what we considered as opposed to having the comments for residents to come forward with their comments.
Okay, just to piggyback off of good suggestion. Just to piggyback off of what you said. My thought behind this was to have our solicitor insert language into the bylaws, which would allow us to shift some of the order of the meeting around, so we would be able to go back to the way the meeting was structured previously, which it seemed like everyone sort of enjoyed, which would allow us to have closed session at the beginning of the meeting, the public comment at the beginning of the meeting, the resolutions would be listed, and then the ordinances. So, Andy, I'm not sure, it sort of goes along with what Ms. Stinney was saying. Is that legal for us to insert language in the bylaws to say that certain things have to be mentioned in the agenda, but they can be altered around?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no legal, you could set an agenda how you like.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think,
And
Andy,
if you
when
want
you
to
came on,
defer
that's what we
to
did.
the, leave it in a certain order, then defer to the then council president, whatever year it would be, to set the order and how that would work. That would be absolutely appropriate.
And to piggyback on Mrs. Stinney, what she had said, I also like the old format. And Mrs. Stinney, I got to say one thing though. It's the very first open session for comment. Usually we had that for consent agenda only, and then the open public comment was at the end of the meeting.
There were 2.
Yeah, there was 2, and I kind of like that because sometimes you could follow up with things that happened afterward. And then at the beginning for the consent agenda, we could make comments about anything that was being voted on. Well, the public could make comments, as I did many times.
I still say it should be 5-minute comment.
Well, we
can
can put a limit on 5 minutes. I don't have a problem with that, as long as we allow the public to have a voice. The other thing, Mr. Prickett added this in 2007 when he was a council president. I felt so much about this, I actually went in and started looking at the agendas to find out. And I wanted to reach out to Mr. Prickett and see what the motivator was, but I haven't got anything back. But, he was the one that added this back in 2007, and it's been that way since.
Well, hold on. So we make sure we're capturing everything, and we can discuss this stuff. By law, we're required to have 1 public comment.
By law, right.
Only one or one?
One.
At least one.
One.
Public comment. Well, only one. At least one. I'm sorry. At least one.
So we can
public
have
comment.
2 and still be within the law.
If it's agreed, if it's agreed to by
the
council.
Yeah.
I forgot where I was going with it.
Sorry,
oh,
Jason.
I'm sorry.
Comment.
Okay, so you mentioned the public comment, and only the public being only allowed to comment on the consent agenda items. For that initial, if we were to move that up, for that initial public comment, would we be allowed to open it up so the public could comment on the entire agenda? And they would still be, by law, they still have to comment on ordinances anyway.
Well, you always have a public hearing on ordinances. Correct? And yeah, you could adopt, as long as there's a section, the only thing that the Open Public Meetings Act requires, which is really putting aside what your bylaws say, is that there's a section of the meeting open to the public where they could comment on anything, whether it's an agenda item, an ordinance, a non-agenda item, the weather, literally anything that is subject to some reasonableness, but generally speaking. You know what I'm saying? But so they just be an open public portion where they could discuss any matter. So that's the only thing the law requires, and you're certainly allowed to impose a time limitation.
Well, then we would let them do that at that first part, the resolutions, and have their comments on whatever is left on the agenda. It's not that the public doesn't get the general information, because they do. It's posted, am I correct? Help me out here, administration, on the webpage, right? I don't often visit, I get it, through the email, and it's published through the email, correct? I mean, on the webpage.
That's the clerk's office. They can tell you.
On the webpage? Who does the webpage? Maybe I need to ask that question then.
If the agenda, we do the webpage, but the determination as to when the agendas go on the webpage is made by our township clerk.
Okay, yeah, right. Okay, I understand that part. Okay.
But, on the consent agenda stuff, there's a lot of times there's information out there that we may not be aware of that the public is. So I really value their input.
No one.
I think
yeah,
we all value
We're there. We're on the same page.
And then at the end of the way it was formatted before, at the end for the public comments, it was, hey, I value, whatever or whatever, It doesn't have to be, it could be anything.
We understand.
The other thing that I like is the closed session moving up.
Yeah.
And we ran into that my first council meeting. We had to move the closed session up because we had a guest, Mr. Benedetti. So we moved it up. And sometimes if we have a guest, that's beneficial. And it may have been beneficial tonight, too.
That's what the verbiage that we're possibly asking Andy to insert. He would allow things to be arranged so we could possibly go back to the old format of the meeting.
Okay.
That's what that verbiage does.
Okay.
Yeah, it would allow, I think what I'm envisioning is really allowing the council president to adjust the agenda as necessary. I mean,
Consent with the continue. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll let the clerk know everything that we need to do so we can get that posted on the internet. We'll make sure that the clerk is aware of everything.
I have two things. I hear everybody's opinion. I think, and I'm probably going to be the bad guy here tonight, and that's fine, but I think 3 minutes at the mic is good. And I think my other point was, how many times to the mic are people allowed to come up? I could be wrong. I know Ms. Maldonado is here. I could be wrong, but I think the board meetings, they only allow the one, is it the one time? I know she can't answer me, maybe when you...
It is the one time, and actually that's up to council president if you accept the second, depending, like say we have, when we were looking at the public safety director, this whole room was packed. I mean, people were outside and everything, saying the same identical thing. So I guess it depends on, Letha, if they're talking about the same thing or come back up and talk about the same thing. I mean, the school board, I remember, is just a 5 minute, that's it. And then you put your stuff on a card so that we can get, advanced information so that we can have everything addressed. But I think 5 is enough.
Speaks one time or 2 times, I would agree that we all agree that the comments of the public is important.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think if we have their comment one time says that their opinions are less important than
Right.
Sure.
I agree.
2.
But the first
In my
time was only
opinion.
for consent agenda. You couldn't mention anything.
Yeah.
No, I think what Lee's
Right.
speaking about is when sometimes we've had individuals who speak in the public comment generally and then say, oh, I forgot, I want to talk about something.
Correct.
Come back. Not,
I've been guilty of that myself. So.
Guilty.
Which,
And 5 minutes can be, I mean, if anybody has to do public speaking or when we were running,
Yeah.
asking to speak 5 minutes,
It's a very long
You
time.
can get your message across, yeah.
you can
Sure.
pretty much get it in.
but
Yeah.
some of us have
So
no
we're-
problem with that.
But there's. So, Letha, what's
My
your
suggestion is 3 minutes, one time to the mic, and the comments at the end. That's
What,
my-
3 on resolution?
3 minutes to speak on whatever you're going to speak about.
That's the second time around.
I'm saying this one time,
So,
Okay.
in my
Well,
opinion.
what if there's an item on the consent agenda and a person comes up and asks questions, I could sit up here and tie them up for 3 minutes by my questions or their questions.
But it's only comment. You're only supposed to make
But
comment.
I'm going to be chewing up into their 3 minutes of time.
well, then let
We
them
should
speak
give
for
them
3
right
minutes.
Yeah.
First. Give them their
Before you
opportunity to speak first.
If you, I've called many municipalities in the last couple weeks, and almost every municipality that I spoke to said that they either had the public comment at the front, or people were only required to, allowed to come up one time, unless, and this is going to be the other thing that I was going to say, unless specified by the council president to say, okay, you could come up one more time.
That's what I just said.
And 3 minutes was more than enough.
That's what I just said. That's right, Jason.
So if this is the direction that we're going to go in, it's not new. It wouldn't be new because other municipalities do the same thing. So,
Sorry.
Oh,
no,
maybe verbiage would help, I think.
I agree with that.
Well, I think the question I have is the consensus to give flexibility to the council president to make these kinds of adjustments, or do you want to, because in the bylaws, as Jason pointed out, in section 6 you have an order that your agenda now follows, and the question becomes, do you want to adjust that, specifically adjust it, or just give the council president the ability to adjust the order of the
I would
agenda?
adjust it and then give him the flexibility as well.
I'm okay with that.
I agree.
I do like,
Really?
did we discuss the closed session at the top, Jason? Did we say that already?
Yeah. Now, when you say adjust it, Jack, because you've come to meetings, when you say adjust it, you're saying adjust it how it was previously?
But yes and no. There's one thing that I actually do like on the old agenda that we weren't doing before, that we're doing now because we're following the old agenda. Don't give me that look.
Go ahead, I'm listening. We're tending to
I actually enjoy seeing the reports. And I don't know if you folks got the reports before or not, but I enjoy seeing the engineers' report.
No, we didn't. Once in a while, yeah.
Yeah, we would get them sometimes via email, or we would get them the night of from the engineer, etc.
But it specifically calls out what reports we should receive, and I do think that that's a good thing.
That's good.
So
That needs to stay in there, I think.
So you're saying a title saying reports, pretty much.
Right, like the police report and whatever our agenda tonight had it as.
So you're happy with the the previous agenda, but adding in the reports too?
Right.
Adding a report.
Right, the police reports, public works, and planning, zoning, engineer.
And we'll say according to, the direction of the council president as well.
It's on here. It's number 6. It says reports and communications filed with the clerk. It's number 6.
That's correct, and I want to keep it.
All right, hold on.
Okay,
Number 6. Okay, go ahead.
Because it wasn't on the format that what was towards the end for you.
I'm fine with that.
So you would be able to insert the language stating that it could be moved around depending upon who the council president is for that year.
And you would you'd have to do that. We would make those adjustments. And you'd have to adopt a resolution just approving an amendment to the bylaws. So we'll have I'll have the proposed amendments along with a resolution approving it.
Okay.
So I'll work on that for the January meeting.
Perfect. And it sounds like because we're discussing the length of comments, that's something that needs to be inserted into the bylaws as well.
Yes,
That would be an
definitely.
amendment.
We went through,
Yes.
struggled through that all year.
Struggle?
Yes. Yeah, Jack, you know.
Yes, we did. Don't look at me like that.
What is council comfortable with? I heard Ms. Stinney say 5. Letha said 3.
Compromise.
I'm fine with 3, maybe 4. No, that was a joke, but I'm fine with 3 minutes.
What's gonna go with you with 4? Meet her halfway. See. Now you're
You
gonna
made
have
my
to.
point, so.
So
Yeah,
3.
I'm fine.
3.
As long as there's a little bit of flexibility there.
Well, ultimately, at the end of the day, the council president's going to have the ability to allow someone, if someone hasn't finished making their point.
My big concern was so the public had a voice.
I can tell you that the community I used to work, they had an egg timer, and they would set, I forget what the number of minutes was. I think it was 3. It was 3 or 5, I forget. And they would set the egg timer when the person started talking, and when the egg timer went off, the the council president, like, well, thank you for your comments, even if they were, they always would just cut them off. I was like, anyway, I'm not suggesting you do that. I'm just saying I've seen it pretty strictly enforced. So, but I think obviously the member of the public needs to finish a point. I'm sure that whoever the council president is would allow him to do that. So.
Right, Jack said flexibility.
Okay, so it sounds like 3 one time. And I had a few other little things that...
So let me understand, it'd be 3, I'm sorry, Jason. So it'd be 3 for the resolution and 3 for the closed comments? Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
Yes, is that what we said?
No, we're saying one public comment. We can move it around, but one public comment, which is the law.
Okay, yeah, the law was one
At
public.
least one public comment.
One for the consent agenda and one general at the end.
Okay, so let's get it straight.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with 1.
Like I said, I was comfortable with 1, so it's up to the other 3.
1, and they would talk.
It would be earlier in the meeting, so you could talk about whatever's on the agenda.
Well, Chris, you got a point there, because anything else would be an ordinance that comment has to come forward from public anyway for that, so.
Yeah. Yes, it would be another chance to talk anyway.
Sir, are you leaving? I'm sorry. Point of order.
Please.
Point of order, please.
Okay, so we'll continue.
Okay, so we're going to do 3 and that's it. Is that
3
3 minutes and that's it?
Yeah, Andy,
Okay.
so you get it. Okay, yeah. So Andy, you'll get that to us?
Yes, if you have any other minor tweaks, let me know. And I'll...
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Council President.
Okay. Moving on, the 2015 annual license renewal. Is there any discussion or is there a motion to approve the renewals, which are Pineview Terrace, Hilltop Mobile Village, Lakeshore Mobile Village?
I make a motion for the renewal of Pineview Terrace, Hilltop Mobile, and Lakeshore Mobile Village.
I'll second.
Sunshine?
Ms. Jackson? Yes. Ms. Finney?
Yes.
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Purchases over 2,000, Public Works. Purchase of a 240-volt Lincoln Power MiG 256 from Clydesdale Welding Supply in the amount of $2,430. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Sunshine?
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson? Yes. Ms. Finney?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Point of order, Council President, for a second. The bill that we were asked to authorize, was it put on the agenda?
Yes. It's item 3.
I'm sorry.
Item
It's
3.
It was item 3. Okay, thank you.
Oh, you might have, do you have the old agenda?
Yes.
That's why.
Okay, sorry. Thank you.
Sorry, Jason.
It's okay.
Thank you, President.
Catch. Tax collector for the purchase of envelopes, bills, and delinquent notices from Wilson Web Services in the amount of $2,998.
If we don't pass this, does this mean we won't get a tax bill?
No, it doesn't mean that.
You'll find a way.
Mm-hmm.
Anything for the residents.
Motion to approve.
I second the motion. To approve.
Sunshine?
Ms. Finney?
Yes.
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson? Yes. Mr. Allen?
Yes. Public Works, the purchase of, removal, and disposal of asbestos materials at 34 and 50 Juliustown Road from EPC Technologies in the amount of $12,000.
I have a question on that, Jason. I looked at the payment terms, it's $2,000 upon signing and 30 days for the balance. Is that a standard thing for us, or wouldn't we pay
That's what they say. They'll get paid when they do the work.
at completion of the work?
Well, if the work takes longer, we're willing to do interim payments. But no, they're not going to get anything up front.
Well, they're going to get $2,000 up front. That's the standard. At signing.
No, they're not. I'm telling you, I know that's what it says. That's what they submitted.
Okay.
But they're not going to get anything up front.
Okay. Because this is what we're approving, Dennis. That's why I'm asking the questions.
You're approving the expenditure.
Okay.
The expenditure. You're not. That's what they put in there, but they will get paid when they do the work, because we generally will not, and generally it's prohibited for a government to give money in advance.
That's why I asked the question.
And this is, the $12,000 is coming from the UEZ fund, correct?
Yes.
And those are the
Jack,
two...
good question.
I'm sorry, Jason.
No, I said good question.
Okay. Those are the two properties that we acquired?
Those are two of the three properties that we acquired, and this is the last remaining action that we need to take before we authorize demolition.
What happened to the other properties?
What other properties?
Don't you have two in the middle? You have one on the end and the other on the end?
We purchased three properties, 34 and 50 Juliustown Road and 31 Bank. Any of the other properties have been the subject of discussion and negotiations.
Oh, so they're still topic of discussion and negotiation. Okay. The answer. Thank you very much.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve. I'll make a motion to approve it.
Is
There's
there
no number to it.
Yep. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Sunshine?
Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson? Yes. Ms. Finney?
No.
Ms. Trueblood? Yes. Mr. Allen?
Yes. Social affair permit for the American Legion Eden Stanley Post 294 for a Valentine's dinner dance to be held at the American Legion at 39 Fort Dix Road, Pemberton, New Jersey, on Sunday, February 14th, 2016, from 3 p.m. until 11:59 p.m. Is there a motion to approve?
I motion to approve the social affair permit application for one day.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Sunshine?
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson? Yes. Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Ms. Finney?
Question. I'm a member of the American Legion. I'm not in conflict. Am I right, Andy?
Andy?
No, I know.
Yes. Oh,
Go ahead.
No?
I'm sorry.
Yes? No?
You're a member of the Legion, and we're awarding a social affair permit. I think you should abstain.
I'll stay.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Moving on, discussion of the reorg meeting date. Amy made this pretty simple for us. She suggested January 6th, 2016, which is the first Wednesday of January. Is council okay with that, or are there any other suggestions?
That would be at the standard 6:30 time?
Yes.
I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it.
Same here.
What are we reorging?
New president, possibly.
Oh. Now, you know I've been
And
here too
there'll be-
long.
Well, there'll be other matters. All of it wasn't handled.
All the
There will be-
dates and
There'll
stuff
be other
like that.
standard matters that are on.
Okay.
Yeah, the reorganization can be a part of the first meeting of the year,
Okay.
as long as it's also done within the first 8 days, because you'll have to consider a resolution to authorize a temporary budget.
I'm okay, Mr. President.
So is council okay with that
Yes.
date?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So January 6th, 2016 at 6:30. Okay, moving on, the discussion of the West End Park project. Andy, I'm going to recuse myself again.
Okay?
How should that work?
You should have, just defer the chair to someone who's willing to take it. Diane, Norma, Lisa, and Jack, you're new, but...
I'm too new.
We need someone to take the chair for Jason.
All right,
Wants to
we're done.
recuse
You want to
himself.
take chair? Go ahead. Go on. Miss Norma gonna take the chair.
There you go.
Look at that.
Just go sit.
That's so nice.
We're not taking action.
Don't take
though,
it.
I know, but so...
We just wanna have a discussion.
Yeah. I mean, Norma, you can stay in your chair. I mean, we're not taking, there's just a discussion. Jason just doesn't want to participate. So, I mean, but you don't have to go off the dais because you're not voting and you're not going to discuss it. It's all yours, Norma.
All right, let's do the discussion of the West End Park project. Dennis, would you please?
If I may, I had sent an email to all council members to describe where we are with that. And let me give a brief synopsis. Back, I believe it was in 2014, the council adopted a resolution to authorize the application for $1.5 million of Green Acres funds. That resolution was a resolution in a format that was required by New Jersey Green Acres. In that resolution, after in the now therefore clause, there was some conflicting language as to one that they required. One said that the township, if awarded, may be required to make up the difference if we didn't get a full award. And then there was also language that says that no cash match is required. At the time, when I inquired about that, we were told essentially that Green Acres insisted that the application required that resolution, notwithstanding the inconsistency in that provision, and so we accepted that no cash match was required. When we were awarded the $1.5 million grant for the $1.5 million application that we had submitted for the park. We received a letter from Governor Christie indicating that we had been awarded $1.1 million. That letter did not indicate that there was any cash match or additional cash contribution from the township. And I also confirmed this with our Director of Recreation. So, subsequent to that, we prepared a resolution to accept the $1.1 million under the terms that were given to us, and that is a $750,000 grant and a $350,000 no-interest loan. We brought that to council, and council, based on our representations about what that meant, that we would probably have to pare down the project in order to meet the amount of money that we had from Green Acres, $1.1 million, even though the estimate had been 1.5, and that we would then talk to our Director of Recreation as well as our engineers to determine what would have to be cut from the project in order to build the park for the $1.1 million. Since that time, we received the agreements from Green Acres telling us to do two things. One is you need to sign this, but they also said we need you to adopt a resolution to accept the grant using our format. Specific language which they indicated could not be changed even by a comma. So that's the reason why, that's the first reason why we asked council to rescind that earlier resolution, which you did a little earlier tonight. Okay. The second reason that we wanted to come back to council and talk to council is because the position that Green Acres took when they sent us the document was different than our understanding from Green Acres and the award sent to us by Governor Christie, and different than what we had represented to council and the public at the meeting here where you adopted the first resolution. We have since had discussions with Green Acres with regard to, because that document that they sent us said that in addition to the $750,000 grant, $350,000 no-interest loan, that they expected the township to, and they wrote it in the document, to provide $400,000 for completion of the $1.5 million project in full. I saw this And we saw this, and we started an inquiry because this wasn't what our understanding was. Green Acres came back and said to us, that is, if you want to accept the $750,000 grant and the $350,000 no-interest loan, you have to commit another $400,000 to build the entire project. That was one option that they gave us. The second option, they said, if you want to pare the project down to $1.1 million, we will not require the township to come up with $400,000, but the terms are different. We would give you $550,000 grant with a $550,000 no-interest loan. The difference between the two are, as I just described, the real difference between the two is at $200,000. They'll reduce the grant by $200,000, add $200,000 to a no-interest loan, and so in a sense, we would be borrowing that option $550,000 instead of the $750,000 under the first option. So, we, the Director of Recreation, the Mayor, and I thought that we should share all of that information with Council so that Council can make a new consideration as to the terms that we learned about after we came to Council before, so that a decision can be made. We have prepared two different resolutions for Council. One resolution authorizes acceptance of the grant under the terms of $750,000 grant, $350,000 no-interest loan, and a $400,000 contribution from the township. We would have to, after the fact, identify the source of the $400,000. Or the other resolution is a $550,000 grant with a $550,000 no-interest loan with no financial contribution beyond that by the township. Green Acres has told us that they would accept either one based on what we choose. The third option is an option that we don't recommend, and that is not accepting the grant at all. So that's where we are.
Wow. So does that include, or should we include, or even think about maybe reconstructing, changing things around to come back down to the price we were looking at, as opposed to this $400,000?
That is exactly one of the options that I just described.
Right.
But let me ask a question. ECC has since announced that they're closing and moving on. They have that athletic field that's on EBM Road and 530. Mr. Mayor, I know you're on the committee for reutilization of that facility. How hard would it be for us to obtain that as a facility for the township? The soccer fields and stuff. They've got soccer fields, baseball fields, and all kinds of things right there on that corner.
I don't know that will meet the needs of our program, but our intention in purchasing the property that we purchased and redeveloping that property was to put this type of activity on the Scrapetown Road project. And I don't know that I would personally support the township acquiring any large piece of parcel at the college at this point, because, you know, I have my feelings as to what I think should be there, but that's not for me to say. I'm part of a potential committee. It hasn't actually been established yet. I just met with the president yesterday, actually, and went over some things that we're going to be doing to get to that committee point, so that when we do meet and we have a study that's done, we can determine what the best purpose of that property is. For us to sit here and say, well, there's a piece of property, let's put the soccer fields there, that could save us some money. That might not be the best use for that property, for repurposing that property.
But I'm also looking at us losing that facility and some of the financial benefit that it's been to us for being there.
What financial benefits are you identifying?
Well, jobs and some of the other things that are in there.
So
but if we're losing that,
fields are going to bring us jobs.
You're not letting me finish. But if we're losing that, maybe if we could convince the county to give us that property to take some of the sting away from them moving away from us, that might be one solution for us. It's not going to cost us anything.
See, I look at it as we should be moving towards repurposing that property to create jobs, to create opportunities.
Well, the building and the campus is still going to be there. It's just going to be that one.
You don't know that anything's going to be there.
Well, we hope so.
You know, I am doubtful that much of that facility will be there because there's a good portion of it that's in disrepair, and that's why their study determined that it's best for them to move. So until we have a study that's done on that property to determine what the best repurpose is, I don't think we should be sitting here trying to decide what that best use is. And you know, if you're going to use that to make your determination how you're going to vote on this, well, I think that's wrong. I think you know, an argument on this certainly is, you're right, but to say, well, the colleges are
I'm just looking at possible alternatives. And to be honest, I'm not in favor for this.
Well, you never have been.
That's correct.
I understand.
And you know, we spent $1 million on our capital improvement for the roads, and we just spent another $1 million for the wells. And I understand that the ratepayers for the water is going to be paying that, but we are ultimately responsible for that debt. And then we just went in another $770,000 for a bond for our reevaluation. I don't think it would be prudent for the taxpayers to go another $1 million in the hole or more. So I'm definitely not in favor of this project.
Well, realistically, this would be putting you $200,000 more than it was already authorized in the debt. You're already authorized $350,000. This would take you to $550,000, not $1 million. There's a $550,000 obligation here at zero interest, and I think the return on that investment is much greater than other avenues that
Mr.
you
Mayor,
pursuing.
If the township were to go and do the $1.1 million option, close to the 1.5, has recreation anyone figured out how they pare the project down to get to that number?
That's my question. That's what I was going to ask.
Are you guys there yet, or you don't know?
We're not exactly there. The engineers are looking at that. We've given them some criteria and boundaries to stay within. We want to keep a percentage of the fields that's available to the project, along with the concession stand and the parking. We may have to forego something, say, hypothetically, the lights on the project at this point. Some of the extra fields that were anticipated, but there is a core project here that we want to maintain, and that's the concession stand, certain fields, certain irrigation, to maintain these fields in the proper manner out in that area.
And are you guys comfortable? Are you guys comfortable with where, if you pared it down? Are you comfortable with that, or do you prefer?
Oh, we like the other deal better. I mean,
obviously it's better. But
we were all up for the other deal. It sounded like a great deal.
Yeah, well, not an option.
It's not what they sold us up front,
Right.
and I think somebody just slipped up at DEP because it is their rule to do 50-50, 50% grant, 50% loan, and in our case, because we qualify, we're at a zero interest loan. Not all towns get that. Very few towns get that zero interest loan.
Well, here we go again. I want to say we did listen to the public, and I supported it wholeheartedly, and I will continue to support it, but unfortunately, perhaps maybe we're going to have to look at downsizing the project. That's my theory, and that's where I would support, as opposed to, adding a couple $100,000 more.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to see it going away, though.
Downsize the project.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I voted for it the first time, and I'm still, like Ms. Denny said, I'm still for it. Just have to see what we have to cut down.
When do you have to take action?
Today?
today.
What?
The state's great.
It's Green Acres,
I mean, the
you know how
state's
they
great,
work.
right?
Yeah.
It's like,
I love
let me
Oh,
change
no.
the rules,
Yeah.
and then change the rules of the game, and then say, make a decision and make it quick. That's nice.
There's no way we can bargain for any time? I mean, how long have we had set on this?
The timeline is, you know, this meeting here is the only opportunity we have to get back to Green Acres with the answer that they need to hear, whether we're going to proceed forward with the project, and if we do decide to proceed forward, in what format are we going to proceed? At the reduced 1.1 million, or are we in for the full project of 1.5 million, and then we're going to come up with the extra $400,000?
And I would assume there's no more grants out there that Recreation could look into for something
Grab something like that,
this.
no?
Pick up the rest.
Nah, I don't know anybody that's doing anything close to
Close
what
to
Green
what the
Acres is
50.
doing. That's especially at the zero interest loan portion of it.
Well, the zero interest
no.
loan's phenomenal. I mean, it's
Yeah.
money at no cost.
And the grant part of it, for them to fund half of it, to say we'll pay for half of your project.
Well,
It's still
if I have to vote, I definitely don't want to see the project go, get nixed. I don't want to pay the extra 400,000, so my option would be option 2, which is the 50/50. And unfortunately, have to cut some of the things on the program. So that's my take on it.
I agree with the same with that.
As soon
I
as
wish we had more time.
Yeah, well, we
Guess
all,
that's
as
not
soon
an
as we
option.
do get the plans that we're submitting to DEP from the engineers as to revise, we'll forward them to council also, so you can see, if in fact you vote for this, then you can see what the revised plan would be.
And Dave, you said you're working on downsizing the...
Yeah, we've
You-
given
you
the
can talk about
information
that.
to the engineers to come up with what reducing 400,000 would equate to in the plans, with keeping the core values that we want in the project.
Right.
If I may, one of the things that I think we can do is we can have a few of the items that we would cut out as alternate bids, just in case we end up getting lucky and being able to build the project for a little bit less money. We can still add on a few extra things if we can, so we can put it out to bid in a creative way. But ultimately, that 50/50 is going to be limited. It's a hard number. It's 1.1 million, and it's whatever we can build for that 1.1 million. We'll try to make it more, but we can't promise that.
Andy, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Since this was initially a bond thing, do we still require a 4 vote to pass it?
No, because you're not bonding through what you're doing. You're just
Accepting
you're
the
just basically authorizing an agreement with Green Acres is really all you're doing.
Yeah, the bond. Yeah, the bond was just a financing vehicle, and since the bond is for more than the 1.1 million dollars, it's covered.
Oh, you mean the 5?
The one.
Well, the total.
Oh, I'm sorry. The
It's not
750. It was
yeah,
the 750.
Right. So Norma, there's in the email from the clerk, Ms. Kozlowski, there were 2 resolutions, and the second one is the
Well,
one.
there's 3.
Okay, but the second resolution, I didn't go to the last page, right? The second resolution is the $550,000 loan, no interest loan, $550,000 grant. So if that is the consensus, you would need to, I guess, get a motion to add this to the agenda, and then, if added, a motion to approve.
Okay.
That would be number 299.
For that one, resolution 299. All right. Is there a consent to add resolution 299?
I think the question, Norma, would be, is there a motion to
Motion
add
to
299 to the agenda?
To the agenda.
I'll make the motion to add 299 to 2015 to the agenda.
Okay, let me understand this clearly now, okay? This is for the 1.1 mil or the 400,000?
It's for the 1.1 million total with no contribution from the township. It's paring down the project.
Okay,
That's the
okay, so it's
alternative.
restructured, okay, all right, so it's downsizing the project.
Right.
I'm there with you, okay?
Yep.
All right,
You need,
okay.
you need a second,
gonna
is that a second thing?
I'll second it, yeah, sure.
Can you call the council?
Sunshine, that's you.
Ms. Jackson? Yes. Ms. Denny?
Yeah, sure.
Mr. Tompkins?
I'm in favor of scrapping this, so no.
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
You mean scrapping the whole project?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Oh, okay. They didn't ask you. Right, and then, well, why don't you ask council president so he can abstain if that would...
Okay. Mr. Allen?
I will abstain.
And then, acting council president, you now need a motion to approve. If that's something you would want to request.
Okay, we want to approve Resolution 299 to the agenda for approval.
I'll make the motion to approve 299, 2015.
I'll second, but not to go over another penny. Serious.
It's going to go.
Downsize it.
Mm-hmm.
Pull up some grass.
Okay, call the council, please.
Ms. Jackson? Yes. Ms. Denny?
Yeah.
Mr. Tompkins?
No.
Mr. Allen?
Abstain.
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Now, if you're willing, acting council president, to relinquish the chair
Yes.
back to the council
Back to
president.
President Allen.
You could keep it.
See how well you did? Look at that. Watch out now.
The approval of vouchers for payment on the bill list dated
December 11th.
December 11th, 2015. Is there a motion to approve the bill
Can I
list?
ask a couple questions on this, Jason?
Sure.
Bill list by budget code, second page.
Just had it.
Legal services, litigation costs,
Okay.
EMS litigation. Somebody explain what that is to me?
Hold on.
That would be Andy.
It's probably me.
It is.
There you go. $1,100 EMS litigation. This is related to this was the litigation involving the emergency squads, and I concluded successfully prosecuted or defended the claim that Browns Mills Emergency Squad made against the township. Took that to trial, and we won with the assistance of testimony of our business administrator. And then the only remaining item left in that case is the appeal of the decision. Now that we've resolved the all claims with Pemberton First Aid, they have deeded their property to the township. With Presidential Lakes, they've deeded their property to the township, subject to the terms of an agreement that's been approved. The only open item in the case is the appeal of the judge's original decision related to whether or not BMES, Browns Mills Emergency Squad, was required to deed over the property to the township because it was no longer providing services to the township. So that's the one open piece of the case, and that is what is, this was from what? If it was from November, that's probably what's referenced in the bill. I don't have the bill in front of me.
Okay, but we're not pursuing this any further right now today, are we? This is
No, we are. Well, no, that's what I'm saying. We are pursuing an appeal of the judge's denial of our motion for summary judgment on the issue of whether BMES had to turn over their property. So yes, it is being pursued. That piece, that last piece is being pursued. Other than that,
And that's not on this bill list, or it is on this?
well, we filed papers with the New Jersey Appellate Division, and that is.
Why don't we just buy the property out like we did all the other ones in that block?
We could discuss that. That's certainly a possibility. I think that would be the subject of another executive session. Because that would be a contract negotiation, but yes, that is a possibility.
I think that would be the most prudent thing to do, to be honest.
But anyway, so that's what is referenced in the bill.
Okay, and then I had one more, and it's further back. Page 8, and it's Fleet Public Works Fire EMS Vehicles Parts Strobe Light for $363.80. I thought when we purchased our vehicles, they all came equipped with this kind of equipment. And it looks like we're purchasing 2 of these?
I don't see it.
It's 393.80 is towards the bottom. 50126,
Third
Oh.
block items from the bottom, Jason.
340. See?
No, yeah, Dennis is a fire director. I guess you're a better person to ask the question to.
Oh, here it is.
We own fire vehicles and we own EMS vehicles, and our fleet division in the Public Works will purchase items that are needed when items need to be replaced.
Okay.
And I'm sure that that's what it is.
So they're just building up a bench stock type of thing, or?
No, we typically would buy things like that only when they needed to be replaced.
Okay. That's all I have. But I would like to pursue the other thing we talked about.
We could have that in the next meeting, if that's council's wish.
Well, yeah. What?
We can talk offline also, if you will.
Yes, sir.
You still need a motion, Jeff.
Yeah, I was just checking something. Okay, is there a motion to approve the bill list dated December 11th, 2015?
I motion to approve the bill list dated December 11, 2015.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Sunshine, please poll the council.
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Ms. Finney?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. The engineer's report was placed on the agenda again as per the bylaws, but we already received the report, so we will jump to the solicitor's report.
Yes, I have nothing for public other than on tonight's agenda, you had a resolution for my reappointment for next year, and I want to just thank the mayor, administrator, and council for their continuing support. I look forward, you didn't know you voted for that, did you? I look forward to working for another year. We're now on, I just thought of this last night, this morning, Dave, year 10 together, and I really do appreciate helping the township through all of their legal issues, and then again, I thank you all again for your support.
Thank you. You're welcome.
And Andy, it was really nice when I was down there being able to talk to you, so I was just joking. I hope you know that. Don't sue me.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. I appreciate that as well.
Dave, Mayor?
Okay, first I wanted to compliment Recreation on the Winter Festival. I think that they did a fine job and you got to keep in mind we have 3 personnel in that office, and you know they put this whole thing together and coordinate the efforts that are also attributed from Public Works and police and so forth. You know, and I think they do a fabulous job. I think it was a very nice event. I only wish that we'd get more participation from the residents. I'd like to see more residents come out to an event like this. I heard here this evening, actually, and we hear often, I know every one of us has heard, there's nothing to do in this town. You know, we provide an awful lot, and as Ms. Finney stated, go to Recreation. You'll find something to do. There's always something going on there, and I think they did a great job on that project. I just want to report a little something, an email I got from the chief on a EMS issue. Apparently today, I believe today, the EMS crews from Virtua were involved in 3 cardiac arrest cases. In all 3 cases, they were successful in resuscitating the patients.
Wonderful.
And, you know, this happens in the business. You know, it may happen daily, but to happen 3 times in one day is very extraordinary. And I think that says a lot about the service that's being provided by our not only our volunteers but our paid services. These individuals go out there every day and protect our residents and save our residents, and I think they need to get the credit for that. So kudos to those guys. Our paving crew is out, still paving, as hard as it is to believe. December 16th, there's asphalt coming out of plants, and there's asphalt going down on roads here in the township. I believe they were doing, yesterday or today, they were doing Scammell, and today they may have been over on Hargrove. I believe they were going to Hargrove next. They had prepped that. I don't know what's left on the schedule for this year on paving. They may try and get some more in, but I think they may also be shifting gears and get into some drainage projects. We have drainage work that has to be done. Hunter Boulevard, Arabella needs drainage, and there's a couple others that they can start working on while the weather's still good and get some of that work done in preparation for the upcoming season for paving. But I got to believe as long as they can pave, they're going to continue to pave because you know, we are a little behind schedule, but we're getting there. And then I just wanted to comment on last meeting that I was not here, and I listened to the audio, and it was a little disturbing to listen to Mr. Shaw come up here for the representing the Lions Club. As he stated, he identified himself as the president of the Lions Club. He commented how the Lions Club traditionally for the last 9 years has been putting up the artificial Christmas tree at Reflections Park for the township tree lighting. Then he commented on how he approached Paula Costco, our Director of Recreation, at the rec office in early November, as he states, to inform her that the Lions Club had sold the Lions Club tree, Christmas tree. Then he went on to say that on that same day, the Lions Club had received an offer to purchase the tree from Paula's ex-husband. Well, and he made that clear. He brought this up in his words. He went on to say that Paula got irritated, yelling and screaming at him in her office because he didn't offer the tree to the township. We had looked into that and haven't been able to determine that there was any inappropriate behavior by the director in any way. Do I believe she was probably excited, a little overexcited maybe, because something like this had just occurred and we weren't given the opportunity to purchase this tree? Yeah, she probably was excited, but I know Paula well over the many years I've got to work with her, and she's worked for the township here, and I know she acts in a very professional manner, and anyone that does know her knows that she takes that very personal, to be as professional as possible in her position. So I take that as maybe his opinion, which he's entitled to, as to how she was acting that day, but I find nothing to say that she was inappropriate. He said now, John stated that he heard the mayor wanted to offer $5,000 to purchase this tree. Said it wasn't going to happen, that it was hearsay. These are his words. Play the tape back, you'll hear it. That it was hearsay. And then asked, and this is, I quote him, "I don't know if anyone had heard this rumor. It's actually not a rumor. It's true fact. And God strike me dead if I'm lying right now, because I'm giving you the true facts." Well, he was correct in the sense that the mayor was willing to negotiate up to $5,000 for this tree. What he failed to tell you was that Ms. Costco was already in negotiations with one of the members of the Lions Club and had offered $2,500 for this tree, which they never responded to. This member had taken this back to the Lions Club and presented that to them. He goes on to say that he felt that the Lions Club was kicked to the curb, that the township kicked them to the curb, and they were no longer allowed to participate in township functions. He made a comment that the mayor joined the Lions Club for political reasons only, stated it was fact. This is his words, this is fact, because Mr. Allen tried to cut him off saying that, we don't need this accusations here. He says, oh no, this is fact. Well, I don't know if John Shaw would know what a fact was.